The AI arms race heats up even more. Big news this week as ChatGPT dropped a double on us. Bard is all over Twitter saying they're the best. Travis, right? The hell is going on? Hey, Donald, good to see you guys.
Hi, guys.
Nice to see you as well. Yeah, so real quick, yesterday was a really big day, and let's timestamp that, the 17th of May, where ChatGPT, OpenAI, they basically said, hey, would you like access to ChatGPT 4 plus browsing capabilities? And by the way, would you also like plugins at the same time? And so they dropped this stuff, guys, simultaneously. And I would have been cool with just one of them because I'm like, I want to play around with them. And now it's so fascinating to see what ChatGPT can do with having access to the browser. Because as you know, most of the ChatGPT, if you go in there and chat with it, it says, hey, as an AI model, I can only tell you up until September 2021. Dude, last night I was going out there and it said, oh, my data set is up to May 17th, 2023. It's as live as it possibly can be. It's going out and searching for us and giving it. It's unbelievable how long and how well documented some of this stuff is. It'll take, and the prompts are totally different now, Chris.
So when you say the browser thing, because I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet, I know it just came out yesterday. When you say the browser thing, does it work in Chrome? Does it work in Bing? Does it work in, which ones is it working in? All of the above? Brave,
it works in everything. Yeah, it works in everything. So if you have the pro model where you're paying the $20 a month,
right, then
it will enable you to go ahead and have access to this. And when I say browser, what does the browser do? That it basically means that it's ChatGPT 4 large language model with the ability to also go surf the internet.
Right.
So, and then what I find is interesting is like when you go in and you type something, then it will say, begin browsing. And then so it's just sitting there. You just see a little button. Like normally when you type and you want something on ChatGPT, it'll start going. This is it's just waiting. Tick, tick. It's doing some research. It's going to the browser. It's searching. It'll tell you what it's searching for. Oh, going to a new link, searching this, finding data, finish browsing, and then so after it finishes all its computation, then it starts doing the output. So yesterday, what I did was, because if you guys have seen the show, I'm working on this Web3 AI NFT children's book, basically a whole world called Cornetopia, and launched the book this week. But what I was doing is like, I want to go out and find some podcasts to be on. So I just asked it, like, where are some great children's podcasts and maybe some great YouTube channels? And dude, it spent a good 15 minutes doing its thing. And then it just started outputting data. It goes, here's the link to this. And this one, Kidlit, this one right here. And then some of them, it would give me their email address. Like I was blown away by how valuable the information was that it was outputting to me, guys.
So there's an interesting model here, Donald. I mean, you come from the world of advertising for all three of these cycles. What I think I'm hearing, Travis, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but if I'm a Plus member, so I'm paying $20 a month, right?
Yep.
Which tens, if not 20 million plus people are doing right now. And now I have this browser functionality. I kind of don't need my search engine anymore. In other words, if I go into a search engine, what I'm doing is I'm getting free search, but it's not flat search because it's essentially relevance and quality score driven, right, Donald? And it's based on the keywords I'm putting in and whoever's spending advertising against that set of data and keywords. Now, is it fair to say, guys, that with ChatGPT 4 plus browser, that what I've done is I've basically now paid for premium search and now I'm prompting the search and I'm only getting the things relevant? Or is it still a mix of both? I'm really curious about that because that flips the business model on search tremendously.
True. I think I've been teaching search for a very long time, for the past 10 years, right? And practically you see how it was disrupted overnight by ChatGPT. So in essence, when you ask, however, a younger audience, like for example, my kids or even just my students, they really like the playability of ChatGPT because you're like, you put something in, someone is like conversationally talking to you versus a search who will just list down 1 to 10. These are the search results. But if you understand the technology behind it, apparently you're just asking two different librarians, right? How they undergo their search, right? One would follow the certain SEO formula, right? The page rank algorithm. The others would use a totally different AI, not really based on maybe a bit of your history, a bit of everything, right? And they would now prompt what would be coming out. So it is still very early stages for ChatGPT. Search has been there. You're talking to an older librarian and a younger librarian, right? Who will you go to? Right. So and for brands, that's going to be a bit different. For the academy, for government, how you play it. Before we look at it very seriously that I have to come up in the top 3 search results. Now you cannot do that in ChatGPT to come out in the top 3 ChatGPT results. You don't even do that, right? So what is the play across all the different sectors?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
I mean, Travis, this is major. If you think about the fact that there was a time where search, we all remember it. There was a time where search was really bad because there was no page rank algorithm, there was no quality scores, there was no relevancy scores, and so unless there was an actual thing written against a certain word, nothing even showed up in the early days of search. And what's interesting is with ChatGPT 4, it's far beyond more relevant than those days, and yet there isn't, to my knowledge, unless you guys are aware, a way to game it yet. In other words, there is no SEO for the ChatGPT conversational search world yet. Correct?
Yeah. So if you type coffee shop in Google, right, in search, they would, in a way, Google would try to think, okay, coffee shop may be near them, or coffee shop business or supplier, whatever, right? Coffee shop. If you type coffee shop in ChatGPT, what would come out?
I don't know. Travis probably does.
You know what I really think is interesting about that. I mean, I think that localization of search, you're in local SEO, you're always
Yeah.
going to want to still sort of stick with a search
Yep.
engine. However, now what's really cool is with ChatGPT and some of these plugins, like with Expedia and Instacart and some of these other ones, like it's going to be able to do some additional things that search will not do. But for example, whenever I went to New York City for NFT NYC, I was like, hey, I'm at NFT, I'm in New York City right now. I'm looking for a great place to eat. That's not Chipotle because Snook doesn't want me to eat Chipotle today. And so I need to find a new place that's not Chipotle. And I am here near the Javits Center. Like, what places do you recommend for me? And then I was like, I'm trying to have something that's low carb. So if you could find me some, and then it shot out like 10 different choices of what I could do. So you can use ChatGPT in that way. Now, if I want to find a coffee shop, I think that, previously that was before the browser had changed or the ability to use ChatGPT plus browsing. Now that I can use ChatGPT plus browsing, it might change that local SEO experience. But I would say that probably it's going to be more of a ChatGPT plugin experience is what I would probably think. And so it's going to be interesting how this thing works. One thing that I do think, to kind of go on to your point, Chris, is that, now that ChatGPT 4 is so strong, and there's no ads. Like I'm not typing in, give me a coffee shop in New York City, and it goes, oh, well, you should try our sponsored post here. That's one. Like I don't see that. Like, and I just noticed that YouTube is going to be showing. I just watched this big thing that YouTube's doing. They're going to be giving 30-second non-skippable ads on TV. Like so. Ads are becoming more, and then I know our streaming services are going to start showing more ads. Yeah. And then our search services are going to start showing less ads because we're using AI, guys.
I like that point, Travis, about local search. I think there's probably at minimum a transition there. I think that's where the utility of, call it, the current state of search is probably still most relevant. But there's a massive amount of money on what we would call non-local kind of branded search that is probably now going to shift into a new domain. Let's talk about plugins, because you spent some time going through the plugins. You're working with a couple of them. I mean, everything is under the sun is in this thing. I mean, have you had a chance to really dive deep into plugins yet, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, as I was mentioning, I think that a lot of the plugins are more sort of for specialized type of things you want. you want ChatGPT 4 to do. So now if you actually go in now, I don't know, do you have currently, you have ChatGPT Plus, right?
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Yeah. So if you go in there and you go in here and you play around with it, like for example, I'm going to go to chat OpenAI. I actually have another plugin called AI PRM, which is a really good sort of it levels up your Chat GPT 4 experience. It adds all these different super prompts on top of it. But for example, if you have Chat GPT 4 and you're paying for Pro and you go and you see Chat GPT 3.5 and Chat GPT 4 and you're like, wait, I don't see this. What you have to do is you need to go into your settings first of all. So you go over to the side, over to the left, and click on settings, and then you go into the beta features, and then you turn on web browsing and you turn on plugins. So you can turn on both of those experimental new features at the same time. Now, when you start going into, and so then what you can do is you can hit Chat GPT 4. It'll be a drop down. It'll say default, browsing, and plugins. So if I click on plugins, it's going to give me options to go to find more plugins. So there's a plugin store, right?
Yeah, right.
And so now if I'm looking at the plugin store, it looks like there are about 8 different plugins. I don't even know. Let me see how many plugins there are total. Okay. So it looks like there's a little over 70 something. There's less than 80 plugins total right now. So there's 10 pages.
I mean, just think about, sorry, Travis, but like, as you're speaking this, I'm almost answering my own question. And again, I don't know if I'm right. I'm just thinking, where does this spend go, right? And where I think it goes is brands they're gonna be literally forced, whether they're SaaS companies or not, they're gonna be forced if they have a major online presence into building a plugin, right? So right now there's only 80, but we could see an exponential rise of plugins simply because as more and more users start to pay for Plus, assumably, and they already have all these other applications on their phone or on whatever, if you're vacant in the touch point called plugin with your brand, that's going to be a miss. And if your competitor, again, across digital sense, like we talk about the touch points and the customer journey, if your competitor is strong in the touch point called branded plugin integrated with ChatGPT, then you're done. You're toast, right? Because so there's going to be potentially an explosion of agency work related to build me a plugin, please, or internal work related to what's a relevant plugin? What is the customer experience we can do via plugins that we can't do some other way? What can we automate there? And oh, by the way, we need to race to get to the plugin store because it's the new iOS. It's the new app store.
Yeah. It's fascinating. There's so many different ones in here. Like I'm going through and looking at some of these. I don't even know what some of them do, but excuse me, for example, Upskiller. Here's a plugin. It helps you build a curriculum for any topic. It's its own little separate thing. So basically, a lot of these are what I would probably consider to be super prompts that are connected to these apps directly or connected to these websites directly to be able to pull data from their back end, to be able to pull that and to utilize that. And so that right there is you're creating a bridge between ChatGPT, OpenAI, and your platform to be able to access your data in the way that you want people to access it, which can unlock so much information for people, guys. It's ridiculous.
I think that's correct. With the plugin, it actually now allows ChatGPT to access real-time data. So with the plugin, for example, they can now access stock market pricing. They can look at the real-time prices of commodities from a business perspective. You can even, like, if you do a plugin for a travel app, you can now really find a way to get real-time prices of hotels and everything. So you're not banking on historical data, but you're also looking at potentially what is current data, what is existing based on the supply and demand of the market. So anything that has to do with allowing access by any company to that plugin, they will now be able to, it's really allows ChatGPT to become extremely powerful by using the data that they currently have. Any company that would want access, that can provide access to that data, to ChatGPT.
Travis, have you figured out yet? So trying to think through the business model implications here. Let's say that you were to go, install 5 plugins. A, is there a fee? In other words, like, are you tacking on subscription or is it free? Okay. And then B, if there is going to be a freemium or a premium model for plugins, has ChatGPT 4 or OpenAI, whoever is, I'm assuming it's OpenAI, owns the store, right? So is there a 30%, 15%, 5% transaction fee on any premium?
It's not like an app store yet, bro. So it's like, where Apple has you basically create an app and you put it on the app store and you charge X amount per month. None of them are charging yet, right? So what I can see is, I think this is a first mover advantage of being able to access these tools quickly. And then it's also like, with Expedia going, I'm going to be one of the very first ones. So like, what kind of brand recognition, what kind of, marketing was that just for them to do it for free, right? So when you're one of the first 100 plugins on the new platform that has 100 million users in 2 months or whatever the number was, right? It's insane how many people are using this. And now being able to take that data and then work with it. Right now, I think I've got about maybe 10 different plugins that I'm playing with, but I think it depends on what it is you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to get education? There's a really cool edX plugin and Scholar AI plugin that allows you to go out and grab all that scientific data. Are you a trader? Well, then there's an Options Pro installation thing, which can be your personal options trader, which I need because I suck at options, right? Savvy Trader AI, real-time crypto, other investment information. So there's these different types of information, and I've just gone through all, basically there's 8 plugins per page. There's 10 pages, but they're not completely full. So there's less than less than 90, less than 80, I think, actually, total plugins that are available. We're going to see that number growing, and I've already seen it grow from yesterday. There was like around 70. Now there's almost 80. So people are working really fast right now to bust out those plugins.
Yeah, when people really understand this, Donald, this thing's going to go through the moon. I mean, there's going to be more deployment into the plugin store than we've probably seen in any other ramp up of application marketplace to date. I mean, you're going to be toast if you're not there.
Yeah, I'm seeing new ones popping up right now. Like, that's what's so funny. I just saw a new one pop in. Craftful. Like, that wasn't there when we started this podcast, and here it is now.
No, they opened the floodgates, right? They opened the floodgates. So now you will see an exponential rise in all of these developments. Now, the question is really now, how do we educate a regular internet user, a regular consumer, right? That's going to be inundated with all of these, so many things happening.
Yeah, the other interesting thing, I think about the adoption rate. I think it will be faster than we think, and at the same time, there is friction in it, right? And I think the friction is just not the overwhelm, but the fact that, like, in some of these cases, some of these applications, maybe small businesses or maybe people have had before, but they didn't really use them, right? Like maybe they had Zapier and they did a bunch of things, but it was expensive to kind of maintain the people that were connecting it all for you, or maybe your business didn't grow fast enough, so you didn't really need the level of automation. And so there's still some of that friction in the thing where, not everyone's going to need the utility of all these, but to Travis's point, it'll be interesting to see how I can like segment my personal, my professional, and even maybe my edge network hobby avatar life into and through a ChatGPT 4 Plus, where ultimately I could have different buckets of plugins, right? I could have Chris the gamer's plugins that might be relevant to that. I could have Chris the learner's plugins that might be relevant to me skilling up and doing things like around education or reading or digesting information faster. Then I might have Chris's business ventures or whatever. They might have their own set of plugins. I think it scales. I think there is some friction in the adoption of it, but I think it's like you said, the floodgates are open.
Yeah. Well, here's how it works: is that basically, like, for example, right now I'm using this one called it's a podcast app, Podcast Finder, and so it's going out and I'm like, hey, find me great podcast about books. So it's using that specific plugin. But what's interesting is you can only do you can activate 3 plugins at a time. So you can install multiple plugins. Now, they don't have groups set up like, hey, this is Chris's business one, this is Chris's investment one, this is Chris's playing around one. Right. They don't have those. You just go in and enable. So basically, you install the plugins, and then you can enable up to 3 plugins while you're using those. And then, so I would say this is I've used
And then you
plugins
can
way
change it. You can
less
change
than
it,
I've
right?
used the browsing feature so far. What's that?
But you can change it, right? So, like, let's say you have 3
Yeah.
toggles on, and then
Yep.
like 5 minutes from now, you go, "Now I want 3 more." You just turn them off and turn 3 new on, right? You just have to have.
Yeah, it's like if you saw that original video from OpenAI and how they were talking about these plugins about a month or so ago,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Okay, find me some places to stay in New York, and then also I want to eat a salad. Give me a great recipe for a salad, and then get me the ingredients on Instacart." And so
Right.
it will go through and it'll give you information. Here's your first thing you requested. And then here's how many calories are in this recipe. And here's the recipe. And here's all the ingredients you need. Boom. And then you open up Instacart and all of those things are in your cart with the nearest freaking store to your home. And you press the button and then they ship the stuff to you, or they just bring it to you within an hour. So
Right.
imagine being able to use ChatGPT and say, I really want some lasagna tonight. And I'd love to have some Hennessy and something else too. And you just go, okay, boom. It goes out, creates the list for you. And I'm like, and make sure to bring me some blunts as well. And then next thing you know, person's dropping it off on your doorstep right over there, and it ordered it all for you. Like, this is new world stuff, folks. It's crazy.
Well, a lot remains to be seen. I remember 10 years ago, I was there in the US, like, attended Dreamforce, and they were telling us it's going to be a world of apps, right? But if you look at your phone right now and you look at all the apps in the world, 99% of the apps are not being opened.
Right.
You only have 1% that really provides real value that's being used by the vast majority. Most apps have a download of like less than 10. So
Right.
I think that maybe plugins will also follow the same fate. I mean, you'll have a gold rush, everyone running in, trying to do something about it, but then only one that has the real utility will remain.
Yeah. And
I think that's part of the trick right there too, is like, but you can use ChatGPT to be like, hey, what are the most addicting qualities of a mobile app? Because I want people to upload it daily, right? Because it's so true. I don't know how many freaking apps I got on my phone that I downloaded once and it sounded brilliant and then I never used it again. It's almost like I need ChatGPT for my iPhone. Like, come on, Tim Apple, give me some goodness for my iPhone. Because Siri's dumb as shit, dude. I never use Siri at all anymore. Like, Siri is so dumb. Like, she's coming on right now. No, Siri, I don't want to talk to you right now, baby. Come on, girl. I'll talk to you later. Why you gotta be like this?
I'll
Have a
talk to you
podcast,
later.
girl.
Oh man. Well, I think this was I think this is a good vamp to think about, especially for marketers or those servicing brands and conversion rate and discovery kind of functions in a movement. I mean, this will become a force, and it's time to kind of be thinking about a strategy to get in front of it, because this is going to be a touch point. Like, this will be a major touch point, much like, years ago, search became a major touch point. You either were there or you weren't. And if you weren't there, you weren't even in the game. And this could very rapidly kind of be one of those things where if you're not here, whether you're one of the 99% or one of the 1%, if you're not here, you're not even going to be in the game as it relates to your customer journey. So lots to watch for and think about, keep experimenting with. That's my final thought.
That's crazy. Well, I would just say this is that, from talking with you guys, it was one of the things that I never even considered about how search engines are dying. And now I think that's why, recently this past week, Google had their I/O conference, right? And then somebody made a video of it every time that they said AI, and it's like Google AI, 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 AI. Like they said, so it's like everything is around AI. And I think Google was potentially they had their pants down a little bit, right? So they were not expecting OpenAI to come out and iterate as quickly as they did. And I think it took them a little bit by surprise, because they've been working internally on their own AI, but they've kind of been holding it proprietary and using it to do their own stuff and not really sharing it. And then OpenAI came out and did what they did. And I just want to say this. I think that OpenAI is an amazing tool. And it's Elon Musk's, actually, he said this is his great sad thing that he did overall was he gave OpenAI away for free so it could be a nonprofit. Then OpenAI decided to go ahead and become a profit company. He gave him $100 million to fund the business. And then he gave it to them so it could be open source. And then they turned it profitable. They turned it to they turned it for a for-profit. And then Microsoft goes and invests $10 billion. So there's a problem with that to me. If I'm Elon Musk and I said, hey, I gave this to you to be a nonprofit so everyone can have AI. Now you're making it a profit model. I could have invested the $10 billion in that, and he owns 0% of this, because he gave it away to humanity. And then they just basically took it and did their own thing. So
good thing is,
I don't know.
Good thing is Elon will make it through the winter. That's, I guess, the good thing on that, right?
I'm really concerned with him. I hope he has enough money. I really do.
All right, we're gonna lose the thing. So that's all we got for this one. But we'll see you guys for a deep dive next week. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.